everyone. In today's video we are discussing one more problem on minimization of DFA. So here we will, first of all, the first step is we'll draw a table. So step 1, draw a table for this state diagram. By seeing, we know that we have to write both side, here Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. okay, we have this side also. We will write the state name only, we don't write input anywhere. Okay, Q3, Q4, Q5. So we know that we will be leaving this state and this state. As I explained in previous session, that the first two states and last two state we will be leaving, and we will be seeing the table only half part, because this part of the table is also similar. Okay, so we'll draw. Okay, here we have to check the states which are like Q1, Q0. Any one of the state is final and one is non-final, we can mark. Okay, so here Q1, Q0. Q0 is final state, Q1 is non-final state, we can mark. Q2, Q0. Q2, Q0, both are, Q0 is also final state, Q2 is also final state, we will not mark. Q2, Q1. Q2 is final state, Q1 is non-final state, we will mark it. Q3, Q0. Q3 is non-final state, Q0 is final state, so we will mark this. Q3 on Q1. Q3 is non-final state, Q1 is also non-final state, will not mark. Q3, Q2. Q3 is non-final state, Q2 is final state, we will mark this. Next we have Q4 on Q0. So Q4 is non-final state and Q0 is final state, will mark it. Q4, Q1. Q4 is non-final, Q1 is also non-final, will not mark. Q4, Q2. Q4 is non-final, Q2 is final state, will mark it. Next Q4, Q3. Q4 is non-final, Q3 is also non-final, will not mark. Next we have Q5 on Q0. Q5 is non-final, Q0 is final state, will mark it. Q5, Q1. Both are non-final, will not do anything. Next Q5, Q2. Both are like Q5 is non-final, Q2 is final state, will mark this. And next Q5, Q3. Both are non-final, will not mark anything. Next Q5 on Q4, both are non-final, will not mark. So we will search for, we will do transition, we will check for all the unmarked pairs here. Okay, we'll check all unmarked pair here in next step. So the first unmarked pair is Q2, Q0. Okay, so we'll check for Q2, Q0. So here transition of Q2 on 0 and Q0 on 0. So Q2 on 0, it is going to Q1, and Q0 on 0, it is going to Q1. Whether Q1 is anything is marked, we have to check. Q1 no transition only occurs, so we will not do anything. Next we will check for delta transition of Q2 on 1, delta transition of Q0 on 1. So Q2 on 1, it is going to Q5, and Q0 on 0, it is going to Q1. So Q5, Q1, is it marked? See, here it is not marked, so we should leave it as it is. Next we have the leftover box is Q3, Q1. So we'll check for Q3, Q1. So delta transition of Q3 on 0 and delta transition of Q1 on 0. Q3 on 0 it is going to Q0 and Q1 on 0. So Q1 on 0 it is going to Q4. Next, delta of Q3 on 1, delta of Q1 on 1. Q3 on 1 it is going to Q4 and Q1 on 1 it is going to Q2. We have to check Q0 Q4 is marked. So Q0 Q4 is marked and Q4 Q2. Q4 Q2 is also marked. So we can mark Q3 Q1 since both the state are marked. Okay, since these both are marked, already marked. So next we will be checking for Q4 on Q1, Q4 on Q3, Q5 on Q1, Q5 on Q3, Q4. Okay, we'll check for the time. So next we will check for Q4 Q1, Q4 Q1. Okay, so this is unmarked pair. This is unmarked pair, so we are checking for Q4 Q1. We need to check for delta transition of Q4 on 0, delta transition of Q1 on 0. So this Q4 on 0 it is going to Q4 itself, Q1 on 0. So Q1 on 0 it is going to Q4. Q4 here we can see no marked thing. So we'll do transition for Q4 on 1, delta transition of Q4 on Q1 on 1. So Q4 on 1 it is going to Q4, Q1 on 1 it is going to Q2. See here, Q4 Q2 is marked. So Q4 Q2 is marked. So we can mark, so mark Q4 Q1. Okay, so we can mark this also. Okay, this also we can mark. Next we have Q4 Q3. So this is unmarked. So Q4 Q3. Okay, so here we will be checking transition of Q4 on 0 and Q3 on 0. Q4 on 0 it is going to Q4, Q3 on 0 it is going to Q0. Next, delta transition of Q4 on 1, delta transition of Q3 on 1. Q4 on 1 it is going to Q4, Q3 on 1 it is going to Q4. So Q4 Q0 or Q4 Q4 is marked. So we know that Q4 and Q0 is marked. So Q4 Q0. So here it is marked. Q4 Q0 is marked. So mark Q4 Q3. Okay, this also we can mark. So we can mark Q3 Q1, Q4 Q1, Q4 Q3. Next we have to check for Q5 Q1. Okay, so we'll check for Q5 Q1. So delta transition of Q5 on 0 and delta transition of Q1 on 0. So Q5 on 0 it is going to Q2 and Q5 on and Q1 on 0 it is going to Q4. Next, delta transition of Q5 on 1 plus delta transition of Q1 on 1. On Q5 on 1 it is going to Q4, and Q1 on 1 it is going to Q2. So Q4, Q2 and Q2, Q4 both are same. So we'll check for Q4, Q2. It is marked. So marked. Since both are marked, we can mark Q5, Q1. Okay. So we can mark Q1, Q5. So we can mark this also. Okay. Next, Q5, Q3 is unmarked. Q5. So we Q5, Q3. Okay. So we'll check for this unmarked box. Delta transition of Q5 on 0, delta transition of Q3 on 0. So Q5 on 0, it is going to Q2, Q3 on 0 it is going to Q0. And next, delta transition of Q5 on 1 and delta transition of Q3 on 1. Q5 on 1 it is going to Q4, Q3 on 1 it is going to Q4. So no, not Q0, Q2 you check. Okay, Q0, Q2 it is not marked. Q4 is not exist, so we can't mark this here. Next we have Q5, Q4. Okay, we have Q5, Q4. So delta transition of Q5 on 0 and delta transition of Q4 on 0 we have to check. Q5 on 0 it is going to Q2, Q4 on 0 it is going to Q4. So Q2, Q4, Q2 is marked. Next, delta transition of Qy on 1, delta transition of Q4 on 1. So Q5 on 1 it is going to Q4 and Q4 on 1 it is going to Q4. So this is not existing. Q2, Q4 we can check. So that is nothing but Q4, Q2. This is marked. So mark. Since Q2, Q4 marked, so we can mark Q5, Q4. Okay, so we can mark this. So now we will draw this state table again. Okay, now we will draw this table again. Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. So Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. Okay. Okay, first of all, this was already marked. Okay, these things were already marked. I am marking it as it is. After solving this, what are the value we got? Q3, Q1 we got. See, Q3, Q1 is marked. Q3, Q1 is marked. So I will mark with different color. You will get to know. So Q3, Q1 is marked. Later Q4, Q1 is marked. So Q4, Q1 is marked. And Q4, Q3 is marked. Yes, Q4, Q3 is marked. And then Q5, Q1, Q5, Q4. So Q5, Q1 and Q5, Q4 is marked. Okay. So these things all are marked. Q5, Q4 and Q5 on Q1 is marked. Okay. Even if I do the next iteration, this will be unmarked itself. So what I will do, I will draw a diagram, state diagram for this. So where I will be taking this box, that is Q0, Q2 has one state and Q3, Q5 has one state. Okay, I will take these two state as one state. So Q0, Q2. Okay, Q0, Q2 I will take as one state. Since Q2, Q0 is final state, we will take it as a final state. Okay, and next from this table we got that this Q5, Q3 is also one state. So we'll say Q3, Q5 is one state. Okay, so we will only take Q1, Q4 here. So the next state, remaining states are Q1, Q4. So Q0 on 0 it is going to Q1. So we'll send Q1. Q0 on 1 it is going to Q3. Okay. And Q3 on 1 it is going to Q4. Q3 on 0 it is going to Q0. Next Q4 on 0, 1 it is going to itself. Q1 on 0 it is going to Q4. Q1 on 1 it is going to Q2. Okay, this is the final diagram we will be getting. This is the minimized diagram for this DFA, minimized DFA. Okay, I hope you understood. Thank you.